There we go. Okay. So just real quick, I started, so like 2 years ago, Toby and I were on a basketball team. In fact, Court and Maddox were on our team. I don't think anybody else, Mason wasn't on that team, was he? Right? On the City League team? I don't think so. Anyways, we played and I thought it was terrible. It was awful. The talent was City League quality, and there were no refs, and there weren't even city officials there. Just like they unlocked the doors of the school and we just went in and did whatever we wanted to play. We just kind of had to start. The coaches had to not only coach their team but ref the games, and there was no scorekeeping, which I thought was insulting to kids that age. And so I started looking around for just city leagues. Nobody had anything that was competitive that allowed any additional competition for kids to progress and grow. And so someone, I don't even remember who, told me about Bantam basketball. And so I started looking into it, and and it's affiliated with AAU. It doesn't qualify for national tournaments by winning the AAU league. But what it does do is it allows you to play on a competitive level and pick your own team, whereas the city league doesn't. When I wanted to first start out, I had never coached like real basketball before, so I just started looking for teams for Toby, and the teams either didn't want Toby because of where we live, or they kind of already had their team set and they were just looking for one more kid. And then I even talked to a couple of coaches that I actually wanted nothing to do with them and didn't even want him playing on their team. And I feel like it would help him progress as a kid or as a player. And so I decided just to start our own team. I called a couple kids that were on our team, Court and Maddox, and then Mason tried out last year. I think even Lincoln tried out with us, and Brecken did. And we just started forming the team and got everybody going. And we started out, and to be honest, if everybody remembers, we were awful. We were just absolutely terrible. We couldn't even get the ball down too close to the hoop, let alone make very many shots. I think in our first 2 games, we scored 6 and 8 points is all. And so I was pretty frustrated. We did a scrimmage, and we scrimmaged that same team we scrimmaged the other night, last week, and they just destroyed us. Like, it was just embarrassing how bad it was. And I thought I wanted to run a motion offense, and it turned out that I didn't know how to coach it yet, and the kids were not to a level that they could even play it. So we switched to just set plays. We just ran a box offense, simple box offense, where we had 2 low posts and then basically 2 high posts or wings, and started out. And we started winning a few games. In our fall league, we went 3-3. In the winter league, we went 6-4. And then in the March league, we went 4-2 and improved. I feel like we improved every game, every practice and every game we got better. And along with that, we scored total over the 3 seasons, we scored 461 points, and we only allowed 296. When we lost, it was always a close game. When we won, it was usually a blowout. So I was super impressed and super proud of the kids. We started the season with 8 players. One of them dropped out after just a couple games, and we ran with just 7 players, which I felt like was okay. But because of illnesses and other family commitments, we ended up having a few games where we only had 5 kids. And those were a couple of the games that we actually lost, that I felt like had we had even just one more player, we would have won. But we just didn't have enough energy and gas to make it through the games. And so we picked up another player for the fall league. He's not on the team with us this year. He worked out okay, but it was a learning experience for me that we needed to have more players. I actually talked to some of the other coaches in Maple Mountain that run teams, and one of them runs 10 players. They have 10 players, and another one has 9 players. So they're running big teams just like we kind of are this year. And I feel like it gives us more versatility. Those who were on the team last year know that sometimes we ran a small lineup where we ran all of our ball handlers and wings and really didn't have as much height in the game. Other games we ran a lot of height and a lot of size just to try and match up with what other teams' talent levels were or who was playing well that day. But we do have a team philosophy this year. I'm actually, Toby, will you read the team philosophy, just letter A there? Oops, too far. There we go. Let's just read this.
A player on the Golden Eagles is dependable, works as hard as possible, listens well, is coachable, will play tenacious defense, tries to improve every game and practice, will dive for loose balls, will encourage his teammates, and show good sportsmanship towards other teams and refs.
And we'll go over some of this later, but just as a synopsis of what I expect out of every player and myself is kind of defined in this short paragraph. So I'm gonna read this to the boys every practice, and hopefully we start to implement some of those things. But really, I just expect the boys to work as hard as they can. Court's really good at this. Court will give his all in every game. And then when he gets tired, he has no problem running by and saying, Coach, I'm like out of gas. I got nothing left. You got to sub me out. And I appreciate that about him because I know he's working as hard as he possibly can when he's in the game. There's just a few things that I do want to go over, and that's that we're a club team, essentially. We're a competitive team or club team, however you want to define that. This isn't a city league team. There's no league rules as to how much each player plays. So I don't track it. I don't track how much each player plays. Some games, kids might play a lot more than other kids, but every game, every player that's there will play part of the game. We'll play at least part of each half. I won't sit a kid out for an entire half. But that being said, their playing time will depend on a few different things. Obviously, their ability to play and help us win will be a huge part, but these 5 points is what I really want to go over. Mason, can you read for us? Can you read these five items?
Yeah. 1, defensive effort. 2, ability to listen and respond to instructions at practice and games. 3, practice attendance and performance. 4, overall hustle in the game. And 5, final 5 minutes will be the best lineup to succeed and win that specific game.
Awesome. There were a few games last year that we had some blowouts, and I polled Mason and Silas. Mason and Silas were our two highest scorers last year, and I polled Mason and Silas for the last few minutes of the game. And Silas got annoyed with me one time. I was like, Si, you play the final 5 minutes of almost every game. So when we're going to get up, we're going to play the kids who don't always finish the games and give those kids more experience. But in the close games, and there will be a lot of them, we're going to play to win the game. That's what's most fun. I think all the kids have more fun as we win. And that's what our next point is we play to win the game. So win number one is all boys are having fun. They're learning and growing in the sport of basketball. I'll consider that our first win. But number 2 is score more points than the other team. Like ultimately, that's why we're playing, is to not just to learn how to play, but to win the games. And that's what makes us want to come back to the next game, is winning. And if we lose, we know we can win the next game. So we're going to work hard. So that's what we're playing. If any of you look up the Herm Edwards video, he has a good one that just says, we play to win the game. Like quit, we don't play to do other things. That's why we're playing sports, is to learn how to win. And I've been a part of some losing teams, both player and coach, and it's not very fun, honestly. It's a lot more fun to win. So we're going to do our best to win. So another item that we're looking at is we're playing the game to develop boys. Sorry, I typed that out weird, but we want to help the boys become, or we're playing the game to develop into better boys and grow into good men. And ultimately, that's kind of what I hope out of this team. Is years down the road, I see all these boys doing incredible things. And my guess is most of them won't be involved in a lot of basketball or even other sports, but hopefully that they're having a good impact on their community and churches and families and just being, good, productive citizens. And I like seeing them playing sports instead of doing other things. And so as we learn lessons, we talk about that every practice. After every game, I ask them, what are some of the lessons you learned? And this year, we're going to point out some of the lessons we learned by just like growing in life. Our defensive philosophy, I'll go ahead and read this one. So we're primarily going to do what we did last year, which is a 2-1-2 zone. We're also going to do a 3-2 zone where we have 3 up and 2 down, where the middle guy picks up that point guard. It's going to be a little harder to double team like we did last year. And if other teams have big players, we're going to go a 2-3. And depending on how we perform, we're actually going to try out a 1-3-1 zone and see how that works once we, perfect these other zone defenses. We will play man defense, and we'll probably play it more this year. Last year, we only played man defense when we got a big lead and we were trying to like slow down the pressure on the other team and be good sports in the game. But this year, we're going to have to play man defense sometimes. So we're going to work on that. Our man defense isn't necessarily going to be straight up, hey, Toby's guarding number 5. That's not the way man defense is going to work on our team. Man defense is going to be like, I'm guarding the guy closest to me because we're expecting them to set screens and pick on us to make their baskets, because that's the way we'll run as well. Our initial defensive philosophy, though, is stopping the initial ball handler at the half court, put pressure on, and possibly with a double team so that it can create additional offensive opportunities with steals, which we got a lot of last year. I expect players to hustle at all times, to stay between the other team and the basket. And if we're not doing those things, we're going to come out of the game. We're going to review it. We're going to coach them on the bench so they can go back in and then get better. And I actually think Court and Mason improved the most on that last year. I think last year at the beginning of the year, they were a little confused what to do. And then like by the last game, you would have thought they were the best defenders in the entire league. So Maddox and Gianni seem to be our most natural defensive players. Probably some of their soccer skills play into that a little bit, and Mason's too, I guess. But some of the keys to our success on defense are going to be our steals and our rebounding. Sai's a good rebounder. Toby was a pretty good rebounder. I expect Ryan to be a really good rebounder this year. Ryan, hopefully you heard that. But I expect all of our players to get rebounds, and we will have awards for rebounding. Maybe not the most rebounds, but most pivotal rebound in a game, or most effort. I don't expect Mason and Court to get as many rebounds as Toby and Sai and Ryan, because they're not as tall as they are or in the position to get them, but I do expect them to get the rebounds that are available to them. So let's go offensive philosophy. Brecken, do you want to read that number 1? Actually, read 1 and then the sub point 1 and 2.
Okay. Motion offense with no set plays this year. I want the players to make decisions based off the ability and what the other team is giving us. We will play spread with 1 point guard, 2 posts, and 3-point line, the base play with 1 or 2 posts on the block. We will set screens and constantly move, so this will take endurance and high basketball IQ from every player on the court, and will take time to learn. Every player needs to be able to dribble, pass, catch, and shoot effectively.
Good. So, I mean, it's just going to be simple: 2 down, 2 up. Primarily, we're going to be clear out on the 3-point line, and we're going to go over threes in a minute, but I want every player to be able to basically interchange. Last year, Brecken, I had him playing post the whole first part of the year, and I had to move him to wing at the next part of the year. And luckily, he had paid attention in practice and could do that, because one game we just didn't have enough wings, and we needed him to play that spot. So I expect every player to learn, even though Ryan really isn't going to play wing probably ever. I need him to know how to, so he knows what they're doing. And if the occasion came up that we needed him up there, he's ready to do it. Ryan, do you want to read G and then I? Right there, what I highlighted.
We will make quick decisions. As soon as we are defended, we pass the ball to the open player. If open for a shot, quickly take. If not, dribble or pass. Avoid getting stuck in the corners. Keep the ball moving to avoid that.
So I just want the boys, like, as you're working at home, like, some of the biggest things we can do is like quick decision making, which is really hard at this age, but oh, if a guy's on me, I got to pass, and I'm looking for who's open. I'm going to learn the way Mason and Court cut to the hole. I'm going to learn the way Toby gets open at the free throw line. I'm going to learn the way Syke and Ryan can post people up. I've really got to start focusing on that. I'm going to learn that Lincoln can't catch a really hard pass up high, but he can catch a nice, good bounce pass to the outside. And so these are things that we have to start learning, and it's going to take a while. We're going to have some growing pains with this offense, especially in our first couple of games. But I'm confident that our fall season's kind of a practice season. And then once we're in that winter league, we'll be just running and ready to go. The last philosophy we have is I expect that family, school, and religious worship should all come before basketball. That doesn't mean that your brother is playing a video game and that's what you want to do, spend time with him playing the video game instead of coming to practice. That's not what I'm meaning. I'm meaning that, you know, you put specific things, and I will do that as well, and try and keep it in perspective. And if there's ever a conflict, just talk to me and we'll work it out. We do have a few rules and regulations on our team. Lincoln, do you want to read A, and then read the A in that number one there, the I?
Okay. Be to every practice possible. I make it easy as possible by taking the boys to practice from my house and them after most practices. Practices will be sent from every Friday from 4 to 5:15, with possible additional days added as needed.
Great. So yeah, so we're just going to set it like we're expecting practice 4 to 5:15. Set your schedules around it. I know some of you were looking at a winter soccer league or even some baseball stuff. Go ahead and do it as long as it doesn't conflict with our Monday, Wednesday, Saturday possible games and then the Friday practice. We might throw in some Monday practices here and there. Brady, the soccer wasn't running Mondays, right? It was just Tuesday, Thursday. Okay. Perfect. So we might do some Monday practices if we need to, but I'm going to try and avoid it. Toby's been doing 3-day-a-week practices for football since July. So we're a little practiced out. And so hopefully we can avoid doing any additional practices, but as needed, we'll do the additional ones. We did have Toby's football team won, so they play the championship game this Saturday. So they're having a practice this Friday that they don't normally do in preparation for it. So I'm going to have to figure something out. And then in a couple weeks, we're going to Mesquite for a tournament. So we'll have to adjust that as well. But I'm going to look at it. We may just not have practice this Friday, but we'll see. We also found Gianni's dad, Stefano, found a court for us that we can use. It's a full court. It costs $40 an hour to use it. And so we're not going to use it very often, but if we have a scrimmage or something, we're going to try and do that to scrimmage a couple other teams, especially over winter break. At Christmas, I want to try and have a couple scrimmage games with some of the other Maple Mountain teams that we won't play during the season. Our practice schedule is going to be, in the rule with our practice is I'm going to try and keep it pretty concise. We move from station to station pretty quickly. We're going to start with a quick warm up for just like 5 minutes. We do dribbling, shooting, and passing drills for about half an hour. We work on our offense and defense walkthroughs for about 15 minutes. And then the last bit is we use just a fun scrimmage. I feel like the best way to learn basketball and learn new moves and how to implement it is by actually playing the game. But if anybody has suggestions or drills that they know, I'm open to them. I've never coached advanced basketball, so I'm learning as we go. But I do feel like we're getting a pretty good grasp on what we need to learn. But if you guys see things that you feel like we need to learn, please talk to me and we'll implement it. I want every player to try and have your own 28.5-inch or women's size ball at practice. If you have one at 27.5, that's okay too. We just do drills where every player is using a ball at once. And so it's just better that they each have one. And I don't expect it, like Lincoln's ball that he brings, it's all worn and smooth because he's played with it a ton, is okay with me. Because I don't expect the ball to be great. I just expect them to all have a ball that they can use. So, and you can get them for, I think, 10 or 12 bucks on Amazon. If you need to get one. Let's see, Cord, you haven't read yet. Do you want to be respectful, go 1 and 2, just where I highlighted. There we go. Let me scroll up. Go ahead, Cord. Oh, you're muted.
Be respectful to teammates, coaches, officials, and opponents. Absolutely no player is to ever argue or call or yell at an official or any point in any game. If this happens, he will be pulled from the game immediately. If there is an issue with the ref, the boy or the parent can talk to me and I will discuss with the ref. Everyone on this team should know that I will stick up for my players at any time I feel there is a need. I am the coach. Any adult on the bench with me is also considered a coach. Players are expected to respect and listen to coaches at all times. Players can ask questions, but they should not come to a practice or a game and start telling any coach how to coach or what play we should be calling. If they have a suggestion or a disagreement, we'll talk about it.
Privately and come up with a solution. Awesome. So just a couple quick points is coaches are paid to yell at the refs. Like that's who gets to get upset with the ref. Players never should. I was kind of raised a weird way, and as growing up, I always yelled at refs and had some really weird, funny experiences with it as I got older. But if I ever see a boy being demonstrative towards a ref or shouting at a ref or begging for a call, they're just going to come out. We're just not going to put up with it on our team. And I am working on getting on better with that as well this year and being more focused on coaching the team as opposed to the refs. And we're going to go over some of the issues with some of the refs that we had last year. But another one that like I found over the past couple of years in coaching, not just basketball, but football and baseball as well, is that it is 100% inappropriate, especially in this league, for a boy to come up and say, "Hey, coach, I'm going to play point guard," or "I'm ready to be the point guard this game," when we've never worked on it in practice. That's not their position. That's not where they're going to find the most success. What would be a better way to have that conversation is before or after a game or during a practice, come to me and say, "Coach, I would like to learn how to play point guard more. Is there something I can do to work on that?" And we'll work on it in practice and give you some things to do at home to work on that position, or maybe run a specific play, and we can do that. But we did have a couple times last year, even in our own team, where we would be in a huddle and one or two players would be telling me, "Hey, coach, this is what you should be doing. You should sub this guy instead of this guy." And if you have a suggestion, just come talk to me privately so I don't have to have that awkward moment where it's, "No, we're not doing what you say." But if you come up and say, "Hey, I noticed this player on the other team is doing this. Let's put in Mason because I think he can exploit that weakness on that other team." Yeah. Toby, do you want to read the last two lines on this? Last 2 points?
Sure.
Does anybody have any questions on that part or up to this point? Or concerns? Okay. I know some of it seems like really harsh language. I just want to set clear expectations and then we can go from there with it.
There will be no taunting or showboating towards other teams. I expect our players to be good sports.
Example. Just say, yeah, just say.
Example. Help up the team when falling down. Give 5 at the end of the game and be positive. No negative talk will be allowed towards teammates or self-degradation. Only positive language allowed.
Yeah, so Carrie and I went to a game a while ago, and it was a football game we went to a while ago, and a kid had an illegal hit in football, and the ref didn't call it, and it was on their team. And one coach turned to the other coach and gave him a high five, and he said, "That was freaking awesome. We just got away with that cheap play." And that's just not, that sort of attitude is not, that doesn't have place on our team. Like, we're not going to purposely make cheap plays. We're not going to purposely like foul hard or be cruel to the other team. I want to be known as a good sport. I want to be known that like our players are fun to play against and play with, and the refs enjoy reffing our team as well. I don't want ever, if you to make a basket, to taunt or to mock the other team. And if that happens, we'll come out of the game and talk about it. And then and this is something like Toby and I are working on, is There's no negative talk towards teammates. Like sometimes in practice, we're working and we're having our scrimmage and you get frustrated because you might feel like one player's shooting too much or not working hard enough. We're not going to get upset and angry with them and talk down to them. We're going to build them up. And, you know, hey, Maddox, I know you're super good at defense. Like, let's really insert yourself into our defensive scheme right now and let's get it going and be positive about it. And we're going to go over this in our parent section a little bit as well. But just real quick, our game practice communication is, I'm going to, please, if you're sick or if you're not going to be at the game, let me know at least 24 hours beforehand so that we can make sure I have enough players at each game. And so I kind of have what rotation I want to start setting up. If your kid is sick, the league has asked us not to come. I don't want you to come and get everybody sick, especially if we have COVID or anything. So if you're sick, just let me know as soon before the game as you can. And then also we're trying to set up 2 scrimmages during Christmas break. So if you can't make those because you're on break with family, they don't play any official games. So if you're away with family, can't be it, that's fine. But I want to just try and set them up so we can get more playing time. This one's a big one for me, is I am a season sport person. So winter is basketball, early spring is lacrosse, spring and summer are baseball, and fall is summer. Or fall is not summer. Fall is football. And so in the winter, I expect basketball to be our #1 priority. I expect you to work on it on your own as well. And it should take precedence over other sports that you also play. That being said, I do expect you to play other sports. Like, I don't believe in one sport athletes. I like Court's thumbs up. Yeah. Court's like a good example of a multi-sport athlete. He plays multiple sports, and I think it's very healthy for boys to learn different things and they grow. Like Toby played lacrosse last year, and you might watch him play this year, and he is physically different than he was last year. And I think it's because he played lacrosse. And Gianni is physically different than he was last year because he played even more soccer this year, and he played football this year. And so each additional sport helps build upon your skills. So 3-point shooting, Brecken, you love to shoot threes. So why don't you read this whole section for us?
3-point shots. If a player can at least hit the rim, I encourage a couple 3-point shots. A game when player is open. If a player takes a 3 and it is an air ball, they will immediately come out of the game and they'll discuss a way to improve the shot selection, then go back in. Although they may not be important right now, but wait. Okay. What?
Are you on a phone?
Yeah. Although they may not be important right now, they will be in the next couple of years, and we will need to be preparing ourselves to shout threes and to shoot. What does that say?
It says shout, but it means shoot. But hey, if you shout out 3 every time you shoot it, sure, we'll go with it.
Shoot threes, and this is the time to start learning how to do that in a game.
So yeah, I'm okay with kids shooting threes as long as they can hit the rim. So if we're not strong enough to hit the rim yet, let's come in a little closer. Mason's there this year. I think were you just shy last year, Mason? Actually, didn't you hit 1 3 last year? I think you hit a couple of them, yeah. But you weren't quite strong enough at the beginning of the year, but you definitely are now. And so as we learn and grow, I want to shoot threes. We're probably going to miss 99% of them, but we might make a couple, and that's okay. As long as we're taking good shots that hit the rim, we're able to at least have an opportunity to rebound. There's some important links and websites. This is the league website. These are the rules that they have. I encourage you all to read them. This is a Google Doc that we keep the stats on. I think it's important for the boys to know kind of what they do. I don't like showing them right after the game, so they can kind of like think about what they did well and didn't do well and progress with that. But I do like them to know that, hey, I'm actually scoring baskets. I'm getting rebounds, getting steals. Like Gianni didn't score a lot last year, but boy, he had more steals than some of the players had points. So it was, stats are important to know and track our progress. So physically, we are a pretty small team. We will face players that are a lot bigger than us. And so some of our positions might change a little bit, but this is just a chart. I expect everyone to learn at least 2 positions, and some of you are playing 3 positions. And I would expect everyone to learn all 3, but this would be kind of the priority of what position you play. So like Toby, for example, point guard, then post, and then wing. So go over that each. I've created a calendar. I'm putting everything on it. If you want to follow it, just get on there and you can add it to your Google calendars. Our fall games are from the 25th to the 22nd. We have 6 games. They're all scheduled. They're all on that calendar, and I post them on GroupMe. I am going to send out all the information for the Winter League sign up. I don't want to sign up for it until we've played a couple games to make sure I position us correctly in the right league. And then our Winter League will be from November 29th to March 1st, which is just right after Thanksgiving. They take a break over Christmas. And then there's just a 4-team playoff. They used to do everybody went in the playoffs, but now they just do the top 4 teams are in the playoff. So there's going to be like probably 20 teams. So we're going to have to play really well to be in one of those top 4 teams. There is a March League. Last year we did it, and I felt like it was kind of a lot, but maybe we'll be super excited and doing great. We'll want to play in it. So we'll just keep that on here just in case we want to play it. So there are a few expectations I have of parents. I expect parents to be positive and supportive of every boy on the team and speak positively about the team and each player after games, regardless of our outcome. I don't want to hear coming to practice and Mason says, man, it was Brecken's fault that we lost our game the other night. He shot too many threes. Like, I don't want to hear that. Like, I want to hear Brecken kept us in the game and almost tied it up by shooting that 3 and it almost went in. Like, I want to just keep a positive language. And it can be hard sometimes to go home like, oh, Toby played more than me today, and I don't agree with that. He's the coach's kid, and that's why. And sometimes that might happen that Toby is going to play more than other kids, but it's because that's what we're feeling best as a team. I want to work positively. And if there is a question, like a great example is Brady last year after our first game reached out to me in a super great way that was like, hey, Mason kind of doesn't respond to this style of coaching. Maybe you can just adjust it. And I made like a 5% tweak to my coaching with Mason, and it made a whole world of difference, Like, you wouldn't even recognize Mason from game 1 to game like 7 or 8. Do you agree, Mason? You don't know? I do. I feel like it was. I want to minimize our criticism of refs. They've actually reached out and said that they don't have enough refs and they're trying to get people to officiate. And so try and be nice to them. I know last year I lost my cool in a couple games, and we're going to try and be better with that. I expect you to work on basketball development outside of just our practices, just like you'd play catch for baseball or goalie or kicking in soccer or whatever you do. Just practice a little bit, dribbling, shooting. Sometimes I come home from work and the first thing Toby and I do is just go shoot a few hoops real quick, even if it's for 20 minutes. Any play, even if it's not like the best coaching you have, anything consistent, just dribbling and shooting is beneficial. Get your boy to practice and to games on time. We like to show up 10 or 15 minutes early to games. And like I said, with practice, just be to my house 10 minutes before practice and I'll get them there. I do ask for help with our score sheet and stat sheet as needed. The league does ask a score sheet to sit next to the scoreboard, but every gym we're in doesn't necessarily have a place to do that. So just make sure the refs know where you are and the other coach and the other scorekeeper knows where you are. So if ever there's a discrepancy, specifically with jump balls, we can make sure we clarify it. I am going to ask this year that we have one dad sit with me during the games so they can just help me stay under control. If I'm ever starting to lose it or get overly aggressive, they can like warn me to, to check myself and step back, but also to make sure with help with rotations. I think Court last year, he came out of the game and I sat him down and he sat for like 10 minutes and finally was like, hey coach, I haven't been in for a long time. And I'd kind of completely forgotten he was even there. And so it had nothing to do with me not wanting to go back in the game. So just to help me do that. 2 parents can attend each game. Here's the rules. I'm not going to tell you all the COVID rules, but you guys can all go read them. They are asking everyone to wear a mask. I will not enforce that unless the refs or the league, the venue that we're playing at asks me to. We can forfeit if we don't follow the rules. So anyways, I'm just gonna leave it at that. I think you're all mature enough to handle it. They are asking the players to wear their masks on the bench, but they're not requiring it this year. I will not even ask them to do it because I think it's asinine and ridiculous that we're asking them to do that. So last year they couldn't catch their breath sitting on the bench, but if you want to wear it, that's your call, but I'm not going to even ask them to do it if the seat league's not going to require it. There is an option to stream or record the game. I tried streaming last year and this service was so bad, it was glitchy and people couldn't really see it. If anybody wants to volunteer to take that over, streaming or recording, just let me know and I can help coordinate it, but I'm not gonna do it this year. But if somebody else wants to, then just let me know and I can try and help you facilitate it. Expectations that I have of me are everything that we've listed, but there's a few other things I want to hold: frequent and productive practices, so at least once a week, maintain a positive coaching style, be uplifting and encourage the team, continue learning how to coach. I'm constantly looking online, researching different practicing techniques. I talked to lots of other coaches and asked them how they effectively coach. And then last, I want to communicate effectively. I left a few extra blanks in case there's anything that people want to add, like things that you expect out of me or out of the team that I can put in. Does anybody have anything they want to add right now? You won't hurt my feelings. If you add later, it will hurt my feelings, but right now it won't. No, nothing, Ryan? Okay, good. Well, we're almost done. So just a few things to know about me is, like, one of my biggest weaknesses is I'm not a very patient person. I think Ryan and Lincoln already, after just a couple practices, have experienced that, especially like with Toby. Like when Toby doesn't, like I ask him to do something and he doesn't respond immediately or quickly, I get very frustrated with him. And even some of the players, and I work on that. But I also don't handle like emotions very well. So if a player gets emotional, like cries during the game, I don't know how to handle that. And I'm just going to be upfront and honest with you. Carrie will tell you that all the time, that when my kids start getting sad, I'm just like, knock it off. There's no reason to be like that. So if they're starting to cry, I'll probably pull them out of the game. I generally don't want other parents on the bench talking to the boys. But if your boy is in that state of mind, please come talk to him and help him, because I just don't know how. I'll try to help him as best I can, but if it ever does happen and you need to talk to him, come talk to him and help him out. And if you ever see me start to get too aggressive with kids or with the coach, my wife will tell me, but I don't ever take her seriously when she tells me. So some other parent has to yell at me and say, "Hey, coach, you're losing it. Like, calm down." Yeah, the way I coach, and I mentioned this with like Mason, is like I have a pretty aggressive football coaching style. I yell a lot. I'm pretty hands-on. Like I'll be with boys and I'll move their body to the spot I want them to go. If boys don't like that, then they've got to tell me, so I don't do that with them. But I try my best never to degrade them. I don't want to like demoralize them or tell them they're terrible. I never do that, but I do make sure I tell them what I do expect out of them. And sometimes it comes off as a little offensive, but if it's ever bothering anybody, reach out to me like Brady did last year, and we worked through it, and it's turned out really great. Like I'm super happy it happened at the first game of the year and not the last game of the year. And then you also need to know I'm just super loud. Like I am really loud sometimes, and I lose my voice all the time because I just am always being loud. So that might sound like I'm angry, and I'm not even angry. I'm just loud. I grew up in Davis County. I played football, basketball, and baseball, and a little bit of soccer as a kid, but I played football in high school at Clearfield High. I was a defensive tackle, and then just recreational basketball through high school. So that's where I get most of my coaching learning from, is from those experiences. And then just as a coach now, where I've coached a little bit of soccer. Nobody asked me to coach soccer because my teams have never won a game. Coached quite a bit of basketball now, baseball, and then football as well. Football is my favorite sport, but basketball is a close second. We've been married for 14 years to Carrie. We have 4 kids. Toby's our oldest boy, and we have 1 older girl, Libby, and then 2 younger boys. And honestly, I just look forward to a lot of good years of coaching and hanging out with these boys and helping them learn and grow. And honestly, I hope we have a great season and progress. But is there any questions or comments anybody wants to make? Or any concerns we have before we get started on the season? Our first game's Wednesday.
Hey, Dustin, quick question for
Yeah.
you. This is Bracken, by the way.
Yeah, I can hear you, Bracken.
Okay. Do you know, is full court press a thing this year, or do they still have to hold off at half court on defense?
So in our league, we're not in the A league. There's the top tier A league. They can full court press. In ours, this is the last year we do not full court press until the last 5 minutes of the game. So we can half court press. And then, yeah, no full court press beyond that, beyond the last 5 minutes. Anybody else? Toby, do you got anything? Or anything the boys want to say? Carrie, is there anything you want to say?
No.
Okay. Okay, well, we're gonna let y'all go. We went about 10, 15 minutes longer than I wanted to, but hopefully, what?
Are we gonna like make any plays for this season?
No, I hope we don't have any drawn up plays. I hope we're smart enough that we can run our motion offense. If we are struggling with that, we will implement a few plays. We may even bring back some of our plays from last year, but for the most part, we're not gonna have set plays. We will begin implementing inbound plays, but that'll about be the extent of it. Good question. Everybody else good? Okay. Well, if you haven't read over it, if you have any other questions, just text me and let me know. I'm pretty responsive. And yeah, but I look forward to Wednesday. Toby's football practice got moved from Wednesday to Friday. So now he gets to be at the game too. So we should have a full team on Wednesday. And I know some of the games, some kids aren't going to be to because they did not respect all the requests we made for our games we missed, but we're going to try and get everybody to as many games as we can. But if nobody has anything else, we're just going to end and thank you guys all. And we'll see you on Wednesday.
Thanks.
Thanks, Coach.
Thank you guys.
Thank you.